Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Mcinnis. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Daxon, with us all the way from Denver, Colorado, one of my most favorite places to visit and have a lot of fun. I have had some very amazing evenings and nights at my company expenses because most of my trips were all paid by my my clients and had a lot of fun in Denver. So without getting into what I did, what's more important is what Daxon is doing. So thanks, Daxon, for coming on a busy Thursday and sharing your time with us and enlightening us with your journey. So without any further delay, share your secrets. Tell us how you got started.
Yeah, thanks, Amish. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, so I'm from Colorado. I am actually from a town called Glenwood Springs. It's a population of about 7,500 people. It sits about 45 minutes south of Aspen.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of grew up all around that. The whole celebrity nonsense and but as life would have it, I ended up also living on the East Coast for a long time. My mother moved, my parents were divorced. My mother moved us out there. And so I lived in Boston for about 15 years, all the way from about fifth grade through high school. Um, and so then I had sort of a turning point, and I love the East Coast. I love going back. I love traveling. I love Boston as my second city. I adore it. But at the end of the day, Colorado was always home to me. I'm a huge outdoors guy. I love to fish, all the normal stuff. So I came back here, went to college, got a degree in restaurant and resort management. Took my first job in 2000, working for Vail Resorts as one of their youngest general managers that they ever hired. Went to work for them, but unfortunately that was cut short by 9/11. And as a 21-year-old kid who didn't really know what was happening at the time, all I know is I got a severance check and I was like, we got to put this to work somehow. So I had proceeded to go live in Australia,
Oh, wow.
yeah, for a year before they kicked me out. Literally, their visa standards were pretty strict back in those days, especially with after the attacks. But I was able to travel, go to places like Malaysia and New Zealand and Tanzania and some other places. So I did that, kind of got all that out of my system, and then came back here, back to Denver in around 2002, and through a lot of connections that I had made in college. Started working as a general manager for a restaurant group here. It was a corporate chain. So I was doing a lot of work for them, but I was really working in their troubled restaurants. So I was kind of floating between about 8 locations, going in and helping to fix what was not happening with them. And then by the time we got to fast forward, I was doing that through 2008. And, in those times, Denver was very much a cow town. uh Everybody knew everybody. You were dating all the same people, you're going and seeing the same people at the restaurants, like everybody knew everybody. and
Yeah.
it was just kind of like we were like an outpost to the west in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In 2008 the crash happened, and I had a lot of people reach out to me. There were a lot of cash heavy people, oddly enough, that had some money, so they started going and buying up some of these restaurants that were suffering, and then they were hiring me on the outside to go out and help them get it
Mhm.
back to profitability. So I started a side company in '08, did that, and which took me to Santa Barbara in right around 2013. I started doing a project out there for about a year and a half. Took me up to Portland. By that time, though, Denver had really started changing. Around 2012, 2013, we started to get some of the tech companies moving in here, and we really started to see an influx of people starting to move in. Now, we had no idea that that was going to last for a decade, right? But when I was coming back, I could slowly start to see things changing. A lot of my old haunts were starting to be, they were gone. Neighborhoods were starting to get gentrified. A lot more was going on. But then, long story short, I just finished up my last project in 2014 in Portland, and I just kind of decided at that time I wanted to change. And I know how to work. That's never been an issue. I've never had an office job in my life. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, and I actually got into real estate because I flew out here. I had 48 hours to find a place to rent, right? Because we were going to be moving back. And both of the real estate agents I called, one of them was an hour late because of their tennis match, and another one didn't listen to anything that I was asking for. And I remember turning to my girlfriend at the time and saying, I could do this job a lot better. I come from a customer service background and I don't mind working. So
Hmm.
I just said, you know what, maybe this is like the next step that I need to take. So I did. And ever since then, I got my license in early 2014 and then jumped head first, and I've been here ever since.
Cool. Sounds perfect. So, do you specialize with tech and like business owners a lot?
Yeah, so over the last few years, I started representing a lot. So Denver's kind of weird in the fact that we're not a huge city, and it covers a lot of area, but you're not. I think we're like 3.5 million people now. But
Yeah.
so I started getting calls from people that were like, yeah, I buy the house through you, but I've got some extra money. I want to maybe buy an investment property up in Boulder, or I know people in Boulder that are looking. And Boulder is 35 minutes away from here, but it's a completely different ecosystem. And
Yeah.
I started going up there a lot, and I play softball up there on a weekly basis, and I started really getting ingrained in the community. And Google actually opened up a huge campus up there. And I actually became a preferred partner with Google. So we work hand in hand with a lot of the people that are relocating here. And so I've been doing a lot of work with them, and teaching them more about the area, because it's very expensive to live in Boulder. And even for people for Google, Oracle, there's a lot of startups up there. They don't
Hmm.
live in proper Boulder. They've got to live on the outskirts
Hmm.
to make it more affordable. And
Yeah.
so just over the years and through different referrals, I've gotten to know a lot more tech people because of that. And then that sort of pushed its way back down here. I've worked with people at Amazon, Facebook, again, other startups,
Hmm.
HubSpot, tech
Yeah.
companies like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very big tech world down here. So it's kind of impossible not to work with them.
Yeah, and I think there are also like some conferences that happen, so it brings in more people, and
Absolutely.
everyone loves it. Like there is a lot of tech companies in Colorado, and especially in Denver, right? And I used to work in tech before, and one of the reasons was it's geographically it's like a very safe place to have a business and data centers. So it definitely helps to like have the stuff where the infrastructure exists.
And you make a great point, because I think as of right now, there are plans to build 3 more data centers.
Mhm.
I believe 2 of them are going to be in Broomfield, and one's going to be out east towards the airport. The airport's going to get a lot of attention because it's really the last remaining space that we have to really build stuff. But it's become a
Yeah.
very big hub for the defense contractors and the tech people. And there's plans for I did not know this, but Denver International Airport is now the 3rd busiest airport in the world,
Oh, wow.
behind only Atlanta and I think London or something.
Yeah.
The amount of flights that you can get out of here now, you can go to Tokyo, Turkey, Ireland, Italy, Spain, nonstop. So, we become like this now spot where everybody knows they can come and they can get to wherever they need to be,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And
in a
is
short amount of time.
Delta still the main airlines, or like there's like all the international airlines are having a
Yeah,
hub?
it's predominantly a hub for United, but over the years they've been adding more and more companies to be able to get to Europe quicker.
Or-
And they're adding, not they're adding nonstop flights to Hawaii. I
Mhm.
think they've got them to Sydney now, so you don't have to go straight to LA, right? It's been really amazing, and I think it's like 3 or 4 million people or something a year that go through this airport. It's crazy, and
Yeah.
um um Denver, we become we're a city of people from other cities. So
Yeah.
that's been very interesting.
And yeah, I haven't been to Denver for a few years, but I remember like the airport used to be very far away. But I think from what you are saying is there's a lot more new development happening around the airport. So
Yes, they're going to connect it. It's already somewhat connected. They built a light rail, which is sort of
Yeah.
like above, right? And they do run a light rail train from the airport down to Union Station, right in the middle of the city. And
Yeah.
eventually what is happening is that Marriott just put a huge hotel out there 5 years ago called the Gaylord. And
Hmm.
they host a lot of conventions. It's like 500,000 square feet or something. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's more neighborhoods getting built out there, but there's also a lot more of, like I said, the defense part of the government has set up a lot in data centers. There's a lot more tech going on out there, just because there's so much more vast land to build on.
Yeah.
We're running out of it the further west you come. So I would say in 10 years, you're looking at a very big, um, it's going to be connected.
Yeah. Perfect. Nice. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about what's happening in the market right now. You did mention about more development happening, but just with post-COVID, with higher interest rate, with expectations of lower interest rate, what are you seeing in the market right now?
Yeah, it's crazy because we went through 10 years where even up to 3 years ago our inventory for housing was only at 1,500 homes on the market.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
during peak COVID times, I mean, I will never forget when we heard the announcement about the lockdowns. I sat for 24 hours and was like, okay, I'm trying to figure. I lived through 9/11, but 9/11 was a one-day event.
Yeah.
And we just kind of picked up the pieces and kept moving. This was like, okay, well, what's really going to happen? And I kept telling people, I have this weird feeling that we're going to get really busy. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that it's not going to be all doom and gloom. And I'm telling you, for like 4 years,
Hmm.
2020 to like really the end of 2023, I couldn't even keep my head above water because
Oh, yeah.
it was so busy, and it was tough because we literally had at one point less than 1,000 homes in 11 counties that
Hmm.
were available for sale, right? And now we're at 19,000 homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, one of the things that we're working through now is, especially we've been going through a shift since about January. We started seeing price decreases kind of hitting at the beginning of the year. Whereas I just literally got done talking to an agent where we sold a property in Santa Rosa, not too far from you. They
Yeah.
just now started experiencing that shift like last month.
Yeah.
So the market is a little bit stronger there. Here, it's there's more listings. It's giving more buyer power to the buyers. But the problem is with the rates, you know how it is. There's so much noise. My team, we really focus on change the perspective about things. Stop worrying about the interest rates. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Stop worrying about this and that. If you want to buy a home, you want to sell your home, then let's get it done. And that is still happening. It's just happening at a slower pace. The buyers understand now. I would say
Hmm.
there's 10% resentment because they had to work so hard to get a house. We were writing 30 offers at times, and
Yeah.
they had to overpay, and now they look at it, and it's very emotional now. The sellers are like, well, we want, my house is worth this, and it's like, well, it's worth what someone's willing to pay. The
Yeah.
buyers are like, well, we want the best deal ever, and it's like, well, do you want that because you have the power or because you're upset that you got shut out during lower rates? And it's a combination of both. So our job has been a little bit more, I would say, interesting this year because we've really had to temper the emotions on both sides of the
Yeah.
transaction.
Yeah, yeah. And anyone I meet, I say the same thing. Price is determined by market, right? It's not what you paid for something. I might have bought a pen for $1, but if it's a pen that's going to sign $1 million contract and somebody's willing to give me $10 for it, I will sell it for $10. But if
Absolutely.
nobody wants a pen, it's worth nothing.
And we've gone, if you ask most agents, this is the market that we really had hoped for a long time. We wanted more of a balanced market where the 20% of the agents are doing 80% of the business,
Yeah.
right? If you're not doing things to adapt and you're not doing your job at a high level, you don't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not to be rude, but it is the reality of the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I think, a somewhat of a war of attrition for a little bit.
Mhm.
And so, luckily for me and my partner, we do pretty well. We build the systems, but we do. I feel like we do our job at a high level, and our clients love us, and it's a referral based business. So We set expectations with them. They're not always happy. But I do think, if the rates come back down, I think a lot of people also forget the rates were at like in the fives when Donald took over in 2016 to 2019. They were there. It's just that all of a sudden they cratered to 2%, and then everybody, and we face a little bit of a problem now where some people bought for an extreme amount of money. They waived the appraisals, things like that, and now they have to sell. We know that death, divorce, job relocation, upsizing, or downsizing are really the five main reasons you're either buying or selling. Divorce is another one, right? Major life events. Last year, we had the golden handcuffs where we had a lot of people that wanted to sell, but they held off because they were like, we don't want to go back into the market and have to pay a higher rate. Well, what ended up happening was all that inventory dropped on the market this year at the same time. And our buyer pools just wasn't big enough to absorb it all. So now back to what I consider to be a normal market. Let's have some good negotiations. We're still appreciating at about 2% year over year. Right? No one's fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
And we still live in a very highly desirable place to live. And in fact, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen more through my networks, where we post for buyer and seller needs. I have seen more buyer needs eclipsing the $10 million mark than I have seen all probably the last 2 years combined. Buyer need 3 to 5 million, buyer need 5 to 7 million, buyer need 7 to 10 million, buyer needs up to 16 million. The money is coming, right?
Yeah.
And so we do have an affordability problem here. It is crushing the middle class a little bit. And we tried to tell people a long time ago, if you have any pathway to home ownership a while ago, you need to get in now, because every year it was just getting so much more expensive. And because we have so many people here that aren't from Denver, they're bringing a lot of that money here. And it is keeping the prices level. Our average home price is right around 650 to 700,000, and our average townhouse is 400,000. Now, as a buyer, you can go out and get a deal, but I don't see, I just see the affordability not getting better anytime soon. And we've got to be very careful about that, because it is making it sort of a tiered system where you're either here or you're up here, right? Because the people sitting in here aren't moving anywhere. It'd be interesting to see.
And I keep telling everyone, like, if this is the time to be buying a house, like, if your life situation is the right thing, don't hesitate. Like, don't let rates bother you. Don't let inventory bother you. Buy a house that you like. This is the time when you will be able to buy a house that you actually like. If the rates were lower, you're not going to be able to buy a house that you like.
It's
buy one that's just available.
We push it every time, and there's a psychological factor. I mean, this. I think the magic number used to be, pardon me, about 7%. So when the rate was hitting 7%, we would see all of our showings just dissipate. But when the news would come out and be like, well, the rates just dipped to 6.99, everybody flooded the market, in our showings picked up right after this last rate cut. I had more activity on some of my listings than I've had in a month. In one weekend, I had 6 or 7 showings, and that plays a major role. And I think the biggest fight for us agents is really trying to educate as much as possible and try to change the perspective of, like, listen, if you're right, if you need to be somewhere, like, what are you waiting for? Stop listening to the squawk boxes and everything else on the outside. The math will never lie. You know that. You go through a billion scenarios with people, and the math will tell you whether or not you're going to be house poor, whether you can afford it or you can't. And my job is to go out, as the buyer's agent, is to get you a better deal than what you thought you could get. And on the sell side, my duty is to them to try and get the most money I can in this market, knowing that we're baking maybe $12,000 to $15,000 worth of concessions into it right away, because I know that that's what's going to take to get a rate buy down, right? So it's setting those expectations, and the ones they understand that, they buy and sell, and the transactions are super smooth. The ones that don't, it just takes a while.
You did mention, like, you have to work with other realtors and lenders, right, all the time. Like, have you been like, what have you seen any tech innovations happening that you're part of, like that help other agents and lenders?
So it's funny you kind of mentioned that. I'll keep this very brief, but my partner and I 2 years ago we started using a platform to try and help generate leads and also set appointments and some other things. And we were my partner and I work really well together because we're very forward thinking. We're always thinking 3 months ahead of time.
Mhm.
So whereas the rest of our office is just kind of doing their thing, him and I were always into the tech stuff. And we started using this program that was using a version of AI, and but it was very expensive. And we figured out we could build one for a third of the cost. So we
Yeah.
started working on it in 2023 and working on figuring out what promptings meant and all this other stuff. And eventually now we've got it to a point where we are actually actively using an AI conversational bot we use it for lead generation. We use it mostly for lead follow-up. It's
Mhm.
not to take the place of a human, but it is to take the place of like a database of 5,000 people that we just don't have the time to call. It follows up with them, helps us set appointments and things like that. And we are starting to get a lot of interest from other agents and lenders alike that are understanding the purpose of the system. So they have reached out to us and are in talks about implementing it into what they're doing. And so it is not an issue of if AI is coming into the business. It is about
Yeah.
when it's going to be here and how you are choosing to use it. And I'm not throwing any shade on my fellow agents, but they got to get with the times because they're
Yeah.
just now getting on Chat GPT. And I'm like, things are moving at a pace that you need to keep up with because I can tell you right now, I just had this conversation. Some of the older agents that are right on the verge of retiring, I think are going to retire because as they see this technology start to come, it is very overwhelming for them. And I
Yeah.
think that they are going to be like, listen, for the amount of work we're going to have to put in to learn this curve, we're kind of already 1 foot out the door anyway. But the younger generation, it's how they're communicating. And we have all of our social networks, everything is built in through our AI. And for us, it helps us get a lot more done. It allows us to spend more time with the people,
Mhm.
right? We could
Yeah.
spend so much more time with our sphere of influence and people that we're doing business with, taking
Yeah.
out to dinner, whatever it is, where we're not having to beat phones and we're not, and we do everything ethically, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited. My partner's really excited. We're excited to see where this goes in the future, but I do know for a fact that the lenders are using it because now you can customize the brain, whereas 2 years ago you couldn't. The lenders are really using it now to fish out, what kind of loan people are looking for. Um, Doing a lot of the headway before they
Yeah.
come and meet you, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And still being personable. I think that's one thing that I want people to somewhat understand is that like we keep the tonality of the bot to a point where people feel comfortable. I don't believe in ever letting anything take over a human's job. I just think about having something to support it. So
Yeah.
I never want a bot to call my clients and invite them to something. But if my bot wants to follow up from something from 2 years ago that I just don't have the time to do, I'm totally fine with that. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where it goes. And I feel like being a tech-centric city, we're seeing new things every day that just amaze you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like coming from a tech background, like when I started doing remote work, I used to be always glued onto the messenger saying, if my manager or if a colleague like reaches out to me, I need to respond to them immediately. Otherwise, they might think I'm not working, which kind of reduced my productivity because I wasn't actually working. I was responding to
You're
them
100%
in
right.
40 hours, and then I used to burn out and work late in the evening to do like focused work. I think it's the same with the agents, right? Like just that constant thought that I'm going to miss out responding to my lead, and if this bot is able to take care of it, give them some response, and then we step in and like we pick it up from there. It just makes us so much more productive.
My wife will tell you that her single biggest pet peeve is that look, I mean, I come from a background where I'm used to working 90 hours a week. And so for me, it's like I have to force myself to eat at times. I have to be better at creating balance for myself, even though I want it. But my wife, when she sees my phone going off after 7 o'clock, it is like
Yeah.
World War III, right? So this bot has really helped in the fact that like I can see a lead come through on my phone, but I know that within 60 seconds, the bot will respond to them.
Yeah.
And and then it allows me to just turn my phone off because we do have people that will, unbelievably enough, I do have clients
Yeah.
apparently have things to do at 1 in the morning. You know,
Yeah.
so they'll call me or they'll text me, and it's like I have all my notifications off. But the beautiful part about the technology is that you can free up that time and
Yeah.
know that they're still getting handled. And the bot, this version of the bot, is doing a lot of things where there's protocol set in place to book an appointment. So
Mhm.
it looks through my calendar and says Dax can meet you on this day. So instead of me feeling like I'm not doing my job, to your point,
Yeah.
feel like if you're not picking up the phone all the time, that you're losing out, or that
Mhm.
you're creating busy work, but are you really being productive? Probably not. And you're burning the fuses at both ends, and you
Yeah.
do burn out.
Yeah. And
So
it's
this is
not
where
the best, it's not the best service to provide to the client. Like if you're not able to get the work done or like be more productive, it ends up being a lot more efficient if we are able to like allocate time, do dedicated things at the right time. It's a better service to the clients.
absolutely. And we figured out that, listen, how much time was being dedicated. We never stopped lead generating, right? Like never. So how much time was spent to that lead gen, and how much of that time was actively like getting somewhere?
Hmm.
Whether you had an ISA doing it for you or whatever, there were all these steps.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was taking time away from the people that we really need to be building our relationships with and keeping those going. And so now this allows us spend more time with them and make sure that everyone's feeling good and rosy, and then we're doing our thing. And meanwhile, let this do all the ancillary work. And at the
Exactly.
same time, we're feeling more refreshed. It just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, that sounds great. So one of the other things you mentioned is you do specialize serving like tech clients who might be relocating. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, like what are some of the unique challenges that you see with that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, um, some of them, I love everybody, and I'm very extroverted, but I'm not a very A-type personality, right? And so at times I will get some engineers, people that are very like dialed in, and we'll be talking, and they've got to see everything broken down to like its most minuscule point,
Yeah.
right? And I am so far out of that mentality. So I have people that I work with that are very much that type of thinking. And
Hmm.
I will go to them and say, hey, would you mind having a conversation with this
Hmm.
person in
Yeah.
an effort to help them out the best because I just can't get there. Um,
Yeah.
they're so analytical and very just dialed in. And so I run across that a little bit here and there. I find that to be interesting. And I'm glad that I have a resource to help me with it, because otherwise you feel like sometimes you're just hitting your head, you know. Um, and then honestly, I love doing this job because I love learning about where people come from, what drives them to want to buy a house or to sell a house or to buy an investment property or to buy land, or what brought them to Colorado. You know, like, is it your job? What do you do for Google? Oh, if I tell you, I have to kill you, right? Like, whatever it may be. Or just learning about like the ecosystems that they come from, because it's so far different from mine. And
Yeah.
so I love working with them in the fact that like I feel like I always get to learn something new. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not a huge techie guy by trade, but I do feel like I get more interested in it when people can explain it to me. And, and there's going to be times when they can't, but I really enjoy just hearing the stories of where their journey has taken them in the tech world to kind of how they got, somehow we meet and cross paths, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like one of the other things is like not being superly analytical might help them get a better home as well, right? Many times, yeah, analytically we can try and optimize and get the best possible number. but it doesn't exactly mean the best possible life.
Sure. And you bring up a great point, and that comes up a lot, right? Because when we get to things like inspections, or we get to you know, on the numbers side of things, we usually can get there like to an agreement,
Yeah,
right? But it's usually on the inspection of like that'll happen. Like you'll go in and the dishwasher's overflowing, and I'm like, okay, this isn't too big of a deal. Or a sewer, there's a sewer break, right?
yeah,
And the person might be, well, yeah, but we have to get 5 different bids for the sewer. We need to do this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, okay, let's slow down. I've
yeah,
got a whole resource list of guys that I trust that will
yeah,
come in under cost from most of the competition. They will get you fully permitted and final from the city. We'll get it done in 2 days. I promise you, my job 75% of my job is to make sure that the transaction, you are never seeing the bumps and the bruises of what has to happen. I want you focusing on how are you going to get your family out here? What colors do you want to paint your walls? How do you want to enjoy Colorado? Let me deal with all the
yeah,
other stuff, but I need your trust in order to do it. So
yeah,
I always ask them, my always go to is, if I ask you to come in, if I wanted to put 3 servers in my house and I want to wire everything to run with robots or this, or whatever it may be tech wise, right? I'm going to call you because
yeah,
I have no business doing it. Right?
yeah,
And I'm going to trust that you're going to do the job well. And if it doesn't turn out well, then there's something else that has to be done. But if it does, then I know for a fact, like I feel comfortable. And that's what I try to give to them is like, hey, I want you guys to see Colorado as a place that you can be outside of where you're coming from. But let me take care of the behind the scenes things. Don't
yeah,
overthink things. Let me
sure.
do that job. And then
Yeah,
we get
yeah.
onto a better plane.
It will be done much better than you doing like just the example of the servers, right? Somebody that comes, even if it's not exactly what you thought about, but it will be done much better by a professional than trying to do it yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that doesn't just go for people in the tech world.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's everybody. But yeah, so I always find working with people from tech, I find it just very interesting. I feel like the paths are cool to hear about, but also just it keeps me on my toes too. It's not the same. No transaction is ever really the same. Some are
mhm,
easier, some are harder, but some present more challenges than others. I'm not afraid of a challenge, and it keeps me fresh and keeps me non-complacent
yeah,
and hungry to do
yeah,
the best job that I can for everybody. So
yeah.
getting a couple wrinkles thrown in here or there helps out.
Yeah, makes sense. And as we come closer to the end of this episode, wanted to like open up the floor and let you share any other recommendations, tips, or tricks, or any other suggestions you have for people entering the real estate industry or coming to Colorado.
Yeah. So are we talking about entering as in like buying and selling, or just entering as a job, or?
In the real estate field, right? Like being a realtor, like any recommendations you have.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage people to stay open-minded
Hmm.
um, about, whether it could be a career for you or not, but also if you're thinking about buying or selling, everything really comes back to one word, and it's education. It's
Hmm.
just about learning as much as you can. And just like in the tech world, learning everything you can about whatever you need to do is only going to make you better. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on, realtors, I feel like at times, we do face an uphill battle with perceptions that we're these money hungry people that just go out and collect huge paychecks that don't do any work. When it's actually, there are some of those people running around, but the majority of us work really, really hard to make sure that your investment is going to be what you want it to be. And if
Yeah.
you're starting out in the business, I'm one of these guys. I had a guy that took time to help me when I started, and I really believe in paying that back. So
Hmm.
when we have new agents in our office, I may not dedicate 5 hours a week, but I will sit down and have coffee with them and let them know that here's my number. If you ever have any questions, I'm always open to help you, because I understand, just like anything, if you don't have the knowledge, you're already climbing a hill, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to be able now more than ever, with all the different noise and all the consolidation that's going on and other things. Compass is going around and buying up everybody they can get their hands on, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that are changing in the market, and there's going to continue to be. And I feel like anybody entering the market from a career side needs to understand that you're going to have to learn how to adapt very quickly, because there's things that we don't even see coming yet that are going to be coming down the pipe. And so I just encourage everybody. And as far as Colorado, hey, listen, it's a beautiful state. We love having people, a lot of great outdoors. The quality of life here is great. I feel like that's why a lot of people come here. And if, I always ask them, what brings you? Well, we came there on vacation. And then they see like New York, Chicago, LA, whatever it is. A lot of them see like, hey, for the first time, maybe we could spend less money, buy something more that's great quality, and give our kids or our family, like maybe we get some quiet time in the nature, and
Yeah.
we start reconnecting and getting out of all the busyness of things. And we see a lot of that. And we are a mid-sized city, so we're not hard to get around. Um, and we have a brand new sports stadium that's going to be getting built here in the next 5 years. That's going to be connecting a lot of the city. There's some really amazing things that are on
Yeah.
the docket for the city in general. And
Yeah.
so, being here 25 years, it's going to be interesting to see it peel another onion layer back. And, as always, if anybody's out here looking or they need help or they would just like advice, then I'm more than happy. I'm an open book.
Yeah, and plenty, and along with it being having all the benefits of a smaller city, it still feels like a bigger city with great sports teams, plenty of jobs, and a growing population. Like that's a perfect
And
recipe
we're
for.
getting there culinary wise. We got 2 Michelin star restaurants now, and so we're getting there. We got some work to do on some other fronts, but we are getting there and trying to keep this image of like the Midwestern,
Yeah,
like the mid-sized Western town, but at the same time innovating and trying to progress. And so I feel like it's the best of both worlds.
yeah, perfect. Sounds great. But as we conclude this episode, what's the best way people can reach you?
Sure. You can reach me at my phone number is 720-810-8887. You can also reach me on my email, which is dax@daxonre.com. And I will also send you some information. My partner and I are forming another team, which will be called Obsidian Real
Sweet.
Estate Group. And
Okay.
that's going to be launching at the first of the year. We're really excited about that. So we're just going to sort of combine some things and put it all under one name there. But I'll get you that information. But yeah, so I just took my website down because we're rebuilding this other one and we're funneling everything to that. But those are two of the best ways. And then I'm on all the socials, so you can always find me there. Google all of it. And yeah, any questions or you need to know good spots to eat, call the guy right here.
And who better than who knows the restaurant industry this well, right?
That's right.
It gets,
I'm going to tell you where to stay away from. You know what I'm saying? Give you
yeah, yeah.
experience when you come here. Get you
Sounds
some Rocky Mountain oysters.
okay. Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of local food that's like really good. So when in town, reach out to Daxon. And when you're relocating, definitely reach out. And even if you're moving within the city, reach out to Daxon. It's been great working with him. I can highly recommend him for everything. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.